Welcome back, everybody, to the Rooted Lifestyle Podcast. We are your hosts, Camryn and Justus Woods.
Welcome back, guys, for another episode. This week, we will be talking about what it's like being married in your early 20s. So if you haven't listened before, you know that we have another episode talking exactly about, why we got married so young. And then I think we have another episode about like transitioning to this new stage of life. This episode will be a little bit different, more around what the actual day-to-day is like and what does it really mean and what do we do, being married in our early 20s and why we love it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So being married in your early 20s, I'm 24. Oh yeah, we're both 24. So I just turned 24.
Remember my age?
No, I do. We're both 24. So definitely early 20s, but we got married when we were both 23.
Yeah. You were 22.
Oh yeah, because it was March. My birthday's in May.
You were 22 and I was 23 when we got married.
Yes. So
you're a baby.
So I'm a baby. So yeah, being married this early is kind of insane to a lot of people. People are like, what are you doing? You're so young. But then for us, it just felt right. We'll get into it a little bit later. But it's a very interesting dynamic, to say the least, because half of our friends are still very much so like fresh out of college. So still like going out, having fun, staying up super, super late, which is so fun. Like they just love being a little crazy. And then we have another set of friends who are like, okay, we're winding down a little bit. Like we take care of our sleep. We go to bed at a good time. We try to have a routine.
And those friends are like a little bit older. So it's interesting of like balancing between the dynamic of like,
we're young,
but like we're kind of in a different stage of like not wanting to do that, like going out every night, stuff like that. So it's an interesting balance, and sometimes it's hard to kind of find the sweet spot between the two.
Yeah. And I totally get it, because when you're still in that like going out phase, like it makes sense that we're married. So we're not going out because we're not trying to like meet new people at the bar specifically. Like we're trying to meet our friends, as you guys know, through community in the church and the gym, and just like around where we live. So different. It's just different, but it's fun. And we love both sets of friends equally. So
it's so funny because our friends here, they're a couple years older than us, and even just people who we tend to meet or who we've met in Dallas, we go grab coffee, go grab dinner.
Before.
Yeah, we don't know we didn't know anyone before, but we go, grab food or grab coffee with people, and then they talk to us and they're like, oh, like how old are you guys? And this conversation tends to come up probably a couple months or a couple weeks after we actually know them. Then we tell them. We're at first, we're kind of afraid to tell them because we started getting like weird reactions every single time we told people we were 24 years old. They're like, oh, like what? Like
no,
you're so
like,
mature.
You're such a little baby. Like everyone at my job, they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're such a baby. Blah, blah, blah.
But then they're like, you're so mature for your age. And we're like, what is that?
Yeah,
what does that mean? Like, we're so mature. It's like everybody has a job out of college.
Right.
Everyone lives, Right. I don't know.
I don't know what it is either. I guess people think that we're old farts also because we try to go to bed early. I mean, early is very relative, but not really early. But we try to get sleep. I guess that's literally the only reason that people think that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance too between what like we prioritize in our lifestyle versus like the typical 23, 24 year old.
So I think that's what it is, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah. I really don't. But
also say that Camryn and I have had a different, post grad life than most. I mean, Camryn even pointed out to me the other day that, which is funny, that she was my first roommate coming out of college, because we were talking about, of course, like the housing prices, how everything's so expensive here, us trying to find a house around Dallas. And in my mind, like I'm only thinking like either like married pricing or like single pricing. And then she's like, yeah, like if you split this with like 3 or 4 roommates, then I could see how somebody could afford it. And I was like, that didn't even cross my mind that you'd have like multiple roommates.
It's so weird because a lot of my friends in Dallas, they have roommates. And so they're only paying $1,600, where as if we got that place, it'd be like $4,000 per month, which is just crazy. It's just so interesting.
But also say is that, we've had an interesting experience of, graduating and then getting married very soon after. So we're going to walk through some of those, interesting pieces of what we found to be, both like challenging at sometimes, but also a really cool experience to walk through together.
Yeah. No, for sure. So I would say one of the coolest things that we both agreed on is that we have been able to see each other grow up. So we met, as you guys know, in high school. Well, we started dating junior year of high school. So we have been in each other's lives, like very involved in each other's lives since junior year. So how many years is that? 6, 7?
Like 7 or
7 years?
Yeah, 7.
Going on 8?
It's funny. I can't remember a time that like you weren't in my life, which is crazy.
Yeah.
like I look back at all my pictures, even like my earliest pictures. I don't know what iPhone.
Well, that's because I'm like a picture holic. Like I take so many pictures, it's ridiculous.
But it's just that like every memory that I have of like high school and stuff in college is with you, and it's like it's crazy how we've been together. Yeah, in post grad.
I know it is crazy, but it's so cool because truthfully, like being able to see each other grow up and mature and follow the footsteps that the Lord has provided for us, and answering the Lord's like calling on our life, and just how we've been able to stay together through it, because that's another thing. People are always like, how did y'all do it? And we've talked about that so much.
Well, yeah, because we've grown up together from the transition of even going from high school to college.
And then from college to post-grad and getting married. Because we were engaged before we graduated.
Exactly. So we've had growing up together, doing long distance together, like the whole shebang. And
then like moving to an entirely new state, just us two by ourselves, which is just... It's insane, but it's been so cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the last like year plus has been so much fun, to the point where, you know, I first of all, when we were doing long distance, I don't even remember doing long distance. Like,
I know.
To the point right now, it's funny because now, whenever like I'm going on a trip this weekend with some of my old college teammates, and Camryn's going home, and it's like 3 days, and we're like, oh my gosh. And like before we go like a month. We go like a month.
It's 5
It's Wednesday
days.
through Saturday. We'll see you
Wednesday through Sunday.
But I'll see you on Sunday, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Guys, quality time is my love language. It's yours too.
I know.
You're being a fraud for sure.
I'm not a fraud.
Justus is going to miss me. It's going to be sad. No, I would say that I don't really remember long distance, but then again, I do, because I know that I would surround myself with people, because quality time is my love language. And so I would just fill up with others, which was fun, but still not the same as you. And we were really good about FaceTiming. We were texting all the time, but definitely weird.
Yeah. And then, well, during long distance, like the question I would get all the time is like, you know, are you missing out? Or do you think you're missing out on something? And I'm like, what exactly does that mean? Missing out? Like, you know, getting the opportunity, you know, you date you date the same person all throughout high school. You date the same person all throughout college. You feel like, you know, you're missing out on somebody.
High school, you silly goose.
Well, like through half of high school. Okay, we're not going to go there today, but you date the same.
Have we talked about that on the podcast?
I dated Camryn's best friend. There we go. That's the end of it.
And I love her. I wish she was here right now. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to think you lose track. Have we said that?
I don't know. Probably.
I figured we had.
That's probably part of the story of talking about how we met.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Anyway, thank you for interrupting me. But
rude.
Anyway, so in terms of the long distance, people are like, okay, like, do you feel like you're missing out? You know, you could potentially meet like other girls, things like that, where, you know, get to have different relationships that, you know, you haven't seen or experienced yet. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think there's anything that Camryn has that she doesn't have that I'm looking for. Like, you have everything that I was looking for in a girlfriend at the time, and now in a wife, that I didn't think I was missing out on anything. I'm like, what else could a girl have that you don't have?
Well, that's very sweet of you to say. I feel like a lot of people also come at that angle from the point of view of like, well, how do you know that you want a girl like that if you've never tried with other girls? And it's just kind of like, I don't know. I think that's kind of like a rude thing to say, because like, if you know what you want in a girlfriend, wife, fiance, all of that, then it's kind of like, I don't think that I need to date the whole crowd of different personality people just to like find. And I think it was also a piece from the Lord and confirmation from our friends and family. Yeah. That it was like, this is right. Like, I feel like it's right, but I do want to seek approval from people from the outside to make sure I'm not like stuck in a bubble. Exactly. Because that can happen for sure with relationships. But no, yeah, I think that that's been great. I feel like I agree. I don't think that I missed out on anything, because I was in a sorority, and so girls would be like, oh, like you're missing out on date parties and blah, blah, blah. Like, I would still go sometimes. I would just go by myself with all my friends, and it was fun, but I don't look back and I'm like, dang, I really wish I brought a date to that one date party in college. Yeah. Like, I just don't, because you were the one that I wanted to be with all the time. So yeah. Your day isn't off. You good?
No, I'm good. No, I'm just thinking about what you said. I think all to say is that, you know, throughout, we've had a lot of experiences of growing up and like maturing together. Yeah. And I would even go as far to say, I think you kind of hinted at it before, but like, actually, no, you didn't. It was
We're crazy right now. We're on the
when you
animal-based
were saying I don't think you dated the same person in high school. I thought you meant like you changed, but like you were just talking about me dating your best friend.
Yes.
But I will go to say that we've also changed as people throughout our time in dating. So I don't think we dated the same person throughout.
I
this
see
time
what you're
as well.
saying. No, for sure. That's the part of growing up that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's just like we've seen each other mature, grow into the person that the Lord wants us to be.
Yeah. And so after college,
It's like, next thing.
yeah, whatever. After college,
Be nice to me. I'm your wife. I'm kidding. You're so sweet to me.
After college, there are people, who want to focus on work, who want to focus on more being single, enjoying life, traveling, and that's totally fine. And everyone is different.
Yeah.
I think, that's a lot of people's story. And I think that's an awesome thing. And I mean, God calls people to seasons and times of singleness. God calls people to, times of just like growing internally in themselves. For us, I felt like it wasn't a hindrance. And I feel like that's the distinction that I have to make here is that people feel like once you're married, all that stuff. I mean, the singleness goes away, hopefully, but
it does.
In terms of like the travel, the passion for whatever work you're doing, the growth, maturity, people think that once you get married, you just buy the White House with the picket fence and then you
have kids
and have kids and you stay there forever. But I think the more I've even met couples here and stuff, the more that we've talked and just seeing you from a different perspective, a different light, getting to know your like ambitions more, getting to be a part of those ambitions and pushing you to like be the best version of yourself. That stuff doesn't end when you get married. If anything, it enhances and it just continues to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that God created marriage in part to allow you to grow and become the person that you couldn't be on your own.
Yeah.
Because we're built for community, we're not meant to be alone. But not to say that everyone should be married. I mean, obviously, the Bible's clear that marriage is a gift, a gift that not everyone has.
Right, they have other gifts.
A lot of people have other gifts that God can use. So I will caveat and say that marriage is a gift, but we're called to community, so whatever that looks like, but the support and the complementing of each other through our marriage, at least, I've seen how we've pushed each other and helped each other in all of our endeavors, and that stuff doesn't go away. So don't be misconstrued when you're thinking about an early marriage of saying that your life is over. If anything, I'll say it's just beginning.
And one cool thing that just popped into my brain back in the beginning when you were talking about how some people want to focus on like being single, seeing the world, traveling the world, living alone, because a lot of people do want to do that, all of that stuff. It kind of reminded me of like, okay, one harder thing, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth later, but one harder thing that because we got married so young, you had the opportunity to work for a year, but some people when they come into marriage have had the opportunity to work for 5 years, and therefore they can go travel the world because they can financially do it. They have freedom to buy themselves whatever they're desiring in that moment. If it's a smart move, they can buy a laptop, they can get a nicer car, like a lot of, I guess financial freedom when you're single.
Obviously, that's a good thing to point out with is that you have more, you have less of a financial burden because you're not responsible for somebody else. You're not making decisions for another person. So you only worry and care about yourself. And obviously if you have a stable job, stable conditions, you can grow and mature that at a much faster rate, depending on what you do.
But I would say to that point of like, some people would say, okay, right then and there, that's your life. Your life's over. You can't travel. But it's like, no, actually that's not true, because we come together and we plan all these trips during the year and we sit down and we're just like, hey, I really, really want to go on this one. Like, let's figure it out. Let's save for it. Let's do what we have to do. But then the next one, maybe I'll just be like, okay, we're not going to make that one. Yes, that's sad, but is my life over? No, absolutely not. Because then I get to hang out with you, my husband, and be with our friends in Dallas. So it is give and take. We do see both sides because we do have a lot of married friends. We do have a lot of single friends. So it's really cool to have the insider scoop of marriage, but also bring it to reality of, here's a huge plus to being single. And it is sort of financial freedom to an extent.
I mean, obviously there are some people who are not wise with their money, even when they're single.
For sure.
So.
For sure. I don't even know where we are now. I went down a rabbit hole.
That makes sense.
Sorry.
I think, Yeah, the idea of like you're not really missing out on anything by getting married because you know you're walking through and supporting it with each other.
100%. And so to that, like it's been so cool in the growing up aspect, even like of my job. So Justus has been there when I was training to become a personal trainer. He saw me through that. He was with me when I took the exam, blah, blah, blah. And now he's seen it come to fruition of like, oh, I have 2 jobs now. I'm teaching 5 times a week and it's so cool. And he's been able to be there and like be a little confidence boost of when I was teaching my first classes, I was like insanely anxious. It was low key bad. Like I was like, this is so scary, whatever. But like you were there to help calm me. And it's been so cool that you've seen me grow through that. And then like the same thing with you, you're getting creative with sharing your story about like your foot and your health and your fitness and your passions, which has been so cool. And I love that we've been able to see like dreams come to real life, which has been cool. And we're still so young. So like, I'm excited to see where the future goes.
Yeah. But that's the fun thing is that we get to see the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Right.
And you get to walk with the person throughout it rather than just seeing like kind of the other side of it, but you get to walk through them. And I know there's a lot of other opportunities and room left for us to grow and kind of mature in this area, but it's cool that we've kind of gotten a head start on that.
Yeah. And it's cool because like even the littlest things, like I drove 16 hours with you to come to Dallas and move you into your first apartment. That is the same apartment that we're in, but it was cool to see you step into that as an individual and like live here. And that was just fun for you to start your life. And then I come and we started our life together and just like the little stupid things like changing my last name, driving to the DMV. That was fun because it was
getting
new
insurance.
and exciting. Oh gosh, insurance, and getting credit cards and everything set up. But it's fun. Like enjoy it. Yes, it's a burden, but like you said, it's a gift. It's so fun. And at least you have the money to be able to change your name. Like it's kind of expensive to change your name. Just
I don't know why and it takes forever. If you live in Texas, changing your name in Texas takes forever.
Well, it is low key your identity. Well, high key your identity. So it should be kind of hard. It should be kind of hard to do, but whatever. But yes, we take advantage of like the big things and the little things.
Yeah. And I think the most interesting thing about making big decisions together is when, you know, it's the fact that we're making these big decisions at the same time as that other, I'm trying to word this correctly. We're making
any decisions.
Yeah,
big and little.
We're making these decisions ourselves for the first time with each other versus like alone.
Yeah, with no like outside noise.
Which is scary a little bit because like, you know, other people who may have gotten married later have a couple years to walk through trial and error through what's worked for them.
Right.
Us, it's like we have to figure out what works for us right now. Like I don't even know what works for me, but I'm trying to also figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you were saying, I was working for about a year before Cam and I got married. And I was still trying to figure out, you know, like bank accounts and like savings, investments. And once we got married, it was even more challenging because you're navigating doing it all for the first time. And now you need to figure out how to do it together. So I was like, okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it, like how to invest, just trying to figure out how to, you know, do all these different things and set up my, on the financial side, at least like building up my portfolio. But now it's like, okay, I have to think about you now. I have to think about what you want, what our future is, because our future could be different than what my future was, what I thought I wanted to be saving for.
It's so crazy. Like I will say though, you have done a beautiful job displaying that. Because truth be told, people, I came into this marriage being like, hey, I'm your wife and I know nothing about money, but I know how to kind of budget and that's about it. I don't know anything about insurance. I don't know anything about like 401ks. I don't know anything about anything. So I will say hopefully I didn't burden you with that, but you have done an incredible job and you've been so faithful with leadership and all of that, providing and making sure we're saving, but saving well, putting money into funds, like all of the crazy decisions that you have sort of pretty much made on your own because I don't know anything. You've done really well. So I will say that you've done a great job. Give yourself
some credit.
Wait, literally what did I do? I think I came into this marriage with like $1,000.
And we used it on first class tickets to go to our honeymoon.
No, that was after. No, it was $2,000 for those first class tickets. So I came in. Oh, and then I spent another $1,000 on my camera. So I came into the marriage with $3,000. That is so embarrassing. We should probably take that out.
Nah, it's fine.
I have money to my name, I swear.
We're transparent here on the podcast.
That's
we don't.
So embarrassing.
Nah.
I'm embarrassed. Actually, I don't care. You guys are like my best friends.
Well, even in terms of like decisions, the huge decision of even moving to Dallas, I'm honestly surprised you even said yes, because that's a huge decision that I had to make, like I was applying for a job at that point,
Yeah.
but I knew that I was going to propose to Camryn. I knew that this was a place that we were going to live. She didn't know at the time, but I was like, okay, I have to make a decision based on where Camryn would want to live as well. That's partly one of the reasons why I was supposed to go to Houston. And then I kind of, had another conversation with my company and ended up being able to go to Dallas. But
let me tell the story from my POV.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in my bedroom in college. Jess is like, oh my gosh, I got the job. This is awesome. Blah, blah, blah. Like, let's go to Texas. And I was like, yeah, that was the Holy Spirit, by the way. You said, I don't know how. I don't either. And it was the Holy Spirit. I just had so much peace about it. I was like, sure. So we're like, okay, Texas, this is going to be great. Either Austin, Houston, or Dallas. But I knew the last place I wanted was Houston. If you live in Houston, more power to you. I'm sure it's incredible. I just know someone who lives there and they call it the armpit of Texas. So I was like, not really feeling Houston.
Yeah,
Plus, I mean, two of our best friends were going to move there. So that would have been really fun, but it was like a whole year later, whatever. I was like, I don't want Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. He gets Houston. So I'm like sitting on the floor in my house in college. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, like please make a way for us to get literally either Austin or Dallas. But I kind of wanted Dallas because I knew more people that like had been there, whatever. So thankfully your company said yes. And I remember sitting on the floor and like, I was so thankful. I don't think I said anything about Houston to you though, because I was like, I don't want his feelings to get hurt.
Well, yeah, but even
if that's the only place he could go.
Even in that decision, like if I was just making that decision for myself, I'd be like, okay.
Would you have gone to Houston?
Probably. I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had a real choice. Like I made that decision a lot based on how I thought you would feel, and I feel like you would have been more comfortable in Dallas.
You straight up asked me. And the fitness scene is better here, and that's what I wanted to do. We just talked. Our communication about it was great.
But yeah, I'm glad you trusted me enough to say
I do trust you.
Yeah, but all the decisions were things that we had to walk through together, even before we had a chance to like do it ourselves.
And it's really cool because there have been obviously hard conversations where we kind of disagree on what we should do decision wise. Like, oh my goodness, for that house. Like you were kind of like, yes, let's do it. And I was kind of like, no, I don't think we should. And then we just kept talking through it until we both came to the same decision. Yeah. Or we both like met in the middle. You can't really meet in the middle in a house, but we just...
We'll get half of it.
Yeah. He'll live there. I'll live in the apartment, whatever. No, but it's been really cool to see just through marriage, working through both the hard things and like fun dreams that we've been able to do. But how would you say that it's gone so far? Just like being married so young and figuring it all out.
So I'm going to toot Camryn's horn here and say
Such a funny saying.
Toot your horn. And it's been such an amazing, you've been such an amazing and important part in my life, in my early 20s. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think, you pushed me to be better, both mentally, physically, spiritually. You pushed me to be a better spiritual leader. You've allowed me to pursue my passions, and have pushed me to pursue my passions and given me confidence, which is what I feel like I've wanted in a wife to kind of, that I feel like that's the biggest thing that a wife could give to a husband is like support and strength, because I feel like there's a lot out there and there's a lot of responsibility that men are called to biblically. Yeah. And I don't think that men can really reach their full potential, or it's harder. It's easier to reach your full potential as a man when you have a woman behind you, like pushing you forward. And I feel like you've really been that for me.
Thank you.
And not to say that our marriage has been perfect, all the time. It's been far from perfect, but in the good times you get a glimpse, like a small glimpse of what God has intended for marriage to be, and like his goodness and his love that I see through you. So it's been a lot of fun.
You're so sweet. Thank you, Justus.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
So what about you? Toot my horn.
I will toot your horn. I definitely will. So first and foremost, I would just say this has been like a dream come true. Like my whole life I've been like, oh, I really want to get married, but I don't want to just get married. Like I want to get married to the right man. I want to get married to a man, not a boy. And I would say you've like fit that mold perfectly. Like people say you're so mature. Yes, you are. Like just the way you speak, the way you present yourself, the passion you have, the motivation you have, the discipline you have. It's the discipline and all of those attributes of a man, which I love so much. And it's very attractive. But living with my best friend, not just physically, but doing life with you has been so fun. We've been making decisions together. We've gotten to know each other better. We've grown together. Just reiterating everything we've just said. it has been amazing. And like you said that I pushed you, you also pushed me to be the best self. While I love that, it's also very humbling. It's a very, very humbling experience when you just kind of sit down and you're like, what are you afraid of? Like, why aren't you making that leap? Why aren't you doing this? Like, just go for it. It is something that you want. And just like you said, I give you confidence. You give that right back to me in more ways than one. So you're always pushing me out of my comfort zone. You see what I want to do, but you know that I can't get there on my own. Like, I just struggle with that. And you just sit down with me intentionally and you're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Like, talk me through this. And I know that even if whatever I want to do fails, like, you're still going to be there for me and you're going to help me figure out a different way to navigate it. So you're always in my corner, which I love. And I pray that everyone always has someone, even if it's not a spouse, have multiple people in your corner. I think that that's one of the most powerful things that you can have. Because like Justus said, we're not built to be alone. The Lord created us for community. So Justus fulfills that very, very well. So does the Lord. And so do all of my friends, and my family, which I'm very, very, very grateful for. But like you said, it's not always a walk in the park. I mean, it's hard when two sinful people are trying to navigate a life together. I mean, that's just the way of the world, which is tough. We had to grow up quickly because we're so young. We got married so young. We've had to deal with financial issues. Problems, just financial decisions. And we've had to deal with the problems that come with moving to a new city, the problems that come with new jobs, literally just the problems of life we've had to navigate because we've never really navigated them on our own, let alone with someone else. Yeah. So there's beauty and pain in that.
Exactly.
But it's been really cool. And I think, like you said, we've been making these decisions on our own without our family. Because like in college and growing up, I would always be calling my parents like, hey, what do I do about this? Or like, how do I do this? And I still do for sure, like random little things that I just love talking to my parents also. But random little things that aren't like a super personal thing between you and I. I'm like, hey, mom, what do you think about this? Hey, dad, what do you think about this? And they're so great to help. But like, you are the person that I turn to now, which has been so cool. But it's been really amazing, and I can't wait to see like where our story continues to go. And you're just the best, and I'm grateful for you.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Of course, honey.
Thank you. So overall, if you've taken away anything from this, I would just want to, say again, please disregard the idea that once you get married, your life is over and you have no freedom to pursue what you want. Because, for us, it's been the opposite of that. When you're with the right person, when you're with the person that, God has called you to be with, I feel like there is a sense of support and security that you can't find.
Yes.
Anywhere else, or at least that's what I've found. And whether that's, as we said before, it's not even through marriage. Marriage is like the depiction of that, of what God has intended as well, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
So having that support system is key.
For sure. But I would also say to this point, like, some of you could be listening to this right now and you're 28 and you're like, all I want is to be married. Like, that's truly all that I want. And hear us say that we do, like I said, we have a lot of single friends, and like we empathize so much because dating right now,
it seems terrible.
It's just, I don't know what's happening.
Yo, we were talking, can I talk about this real quick?
About what?
And then we could get serious.
About what?
We were at the beach in Charleston and we were talking about, because a lot of our friends have like really long-term relationships or are married. And we were going around saying like if the other person would have game.
This isn't funny. This made me mad. This made me
we were
so
going
mad.
around saying if the other, if like, if
you would have game,
if I would have game,
together.
if we weren't together, if Camryn would have game, if we weren't together.
I would totally have game.
Camryn would totally have game.
But everyone disagreed. And I was like, you guys haven't even seen me like flirt with anyone besides Justus. So disregard whatever they
like,
say.
Yeah, when you were like something about like, yeah, like back when I was like in my prime or whatever. And you're like, what, when you were 16?
Hey, I was in my prime at 16 years old. No, I'm just kidding. I still am.
But yes, anyways, we do empathize with you.
Would you have game? You'd totally have game. To your horn.
Hey, that's the hey I would give. Hey.
What would you say if I was a random girl at the gym? What would you say coming up to me?
Do you know where the bathroom is?
I would literally
I'm
be
kidding.
like, never talk to me again.
I know where it is. I just want to have a conversation with you.
That was literally one of our friends' pickup lines. You can't steal that from him. Horrible pickup line. I won't say your name though. I'm not going to expose you.
Credits to my friend.
Anyways, dating right now is so tough. And like a word of encouragement from a girl to a girl, like, truly just be so rooted and established in the Lord. And like Justus said, being married is a gift, but I know that the Lord has you single in the season of life for a reason. So don't disregard that, and don't push away your season of singleness. Do not waste it. Like, there's this book, Single, Dating, Engaged, Married.
that we read.
that I was reading when we were dating, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, this makes me want to be single. Like this book is, I mean, I was younger, but it was still just like amazing. And there's so much beauty that comes from a season of singleness.
Yeah.
Even if you're 40 right now listening to this and you're still single, like the Lord is not done with you. The end all be all is not to be married.
It's not.
That is not the goal. We are just saying here, like we're giving our experience. We're showing the shortcomings of it. We're showing the beauty of it. We're being transparent with you guys. But just
it's
know
not the
this
end all be all.
isn't
And it's not
the goal
who
of life.
it may not be who God has called you to be. And if you want it, then that's continually being in prayer. But as Camryn was saying, don't wish it away, because there's still growth and maturity that God has for you in every single season of life, not just the ones that you're looking for. Yeah. And that can apply to all things of like, you want to be somewhere in life, you want to be in a certain spot, but you're stuck in the right now. Be obedient and be a steward with what God has given you right now. And I promise that He will continue to give you more as long as you, stay in His will and His way.
And one practical thing that I will say to girls, be the person that you want to date, or be the person that you want to attract. Like if you want this really awesome, stable Christian man who is so on fire for the Lord, but you yourself don't really have a faith with Jesus. You never go to church. You don't have any Christian friends. You don't ever pray. You're just not there, and you're doing you're making poor decisions all the time. You don't really care about your well-being. You don't really care about your friends. And then it's just maybe do a little reflection of okay, how can I be the best version of myself?
Yeah.
Because that will attract a person who is wow, she's so on fire for the Lord. She's so motivated. She's so disciplined, all of this stuff. I'm not saying that's going to work, but I will say work on yourself. Don't be a false version of yourself because you think that's the type of person that I would want to date. Be your true, authentic self, because if it isn't the cards for you with your walk in the Lord, then He will make a way. There's nothing stopping Him from making a way. So Justus said, being in this season, don't wish it away. If you are married, I hope this is encouragement to know that yes, it's so fun, but it's not all rainbows and sunshine all the time. So yeah, do you have any word of advice for men? Single men, just a quick little.
I would say be a leader and be a man. I mean, I feel a lot of the time this day and age, men have been a lot more passive, and I think that's a product of, there's a lot of backlash of what being a man has been tainted, I think, in the worldly sense, and I feel there's a portion of being a man with that tainting that people are trying to fix. They're removing what it means to be a man entirely. And yes, there's been some, toxic masculinity and stuff in the past, but that doesn't mean that manhood itself is bad. So read your Bible, know what it means to be a man, know what it means to be a leader, be the person that, a woman would want to be with, who would want to follow you. I've never met somebody who said that they would not follow a good leader. If Martin Luther King was still here, or one of the greatest leaders in the world, somebody, I guarantee you're not going to be oh, I don't want to follow that guy.
Right.
It's only the people who, who abuse, misuse, and abuse their power and their position that people don't want to follow and don't want to emulate. Yeah. But be the person who you want to be.
Yeah. I love it. We didn't even really plan to go down this path of men and women and all that stuff. But yes, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope it helped. We hope it gave you some insights. So thank you guys for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.